That morning, right after Junichi arrived at school, Shinpei showed him something about the king game. Shinpei asked if things had progressed between Junichi and his girlfriend. Junichi admitted that nothing much had changed. Shinpei then suggested that what Junichi needed right now was to play the king game. Junichi questioned why they should play a game like that if it was just the two of them. Shinpei explained that Junichi needed help from his friends. He said that girls tend to lower their guard when they're having fun, and that was exactly what the king game was about. Shinpei reminded Junichi that he had 3 awesome friends. Keigo reassured him that the 3 of them would do whatever it took to help Junichi achieve what he wanted. As a favor in return, Shinpei asked Junichi to invite Yukana's friends to hang out at Yukana's house. Junichi agreed to do it. During lunch break, as usual, Junichi was having lunch with Yukana behind the school building. He was trying to figure out how to invite her friends. Yukana noticed that Junichi wasn't paying attention to what she was saying. When he realized this, Junichi apologized and asked what they were talking about. Apparently, Yukana was bringing up plans for summer break. Junichi asked what was up with summer break. Yukana lightly tapped his forehead and said that she wanted to go somewhere with him during the holidays. Junichi asked her to decide where they should go, and she told him she wanted them to do a lot of fun things together during summer. Junichi was surprised that a sweet girl like Yukana was thinking about spending summer vacation with him. If she had invited someone else, maybe it wouldn't have bothered him, but she chose him. He worked up the courage to ask if he could visit her house after school. Yukana was surprised, but shyly said it was okay. Then, Junichi said he also wanted to bring his friends, Ranko and Nene. Yukana's expression suddenly turned cold, and Junichi couldn't figure out why. Yukana said he should let Nene know and she would tell Ranko. Junichi asked why Yukana seemed upset, but she brushed it off and said they would all hang out together after school. The sudden change in Yukana's tone really confused him. Unexpectedly, Yui overheard their conversation. When the final bell rang and school was over, Junichi was waiting for Yukana at the front gate. He felt nervous since he had never been to her house before. Earlier, before leaving class, Yukana had told him to come straight to her house. Junichi mentioned that the others would go home first and then come over later. He started imagining the possibility of being alone with Yukana at her place before the others arrived, and the thought made him blush. He even found himself wanting to kiss her right then and there. Suddenly, Yu called out to him. Surprised, Junichi quickly snapped out of his daydream. Yui asked why he was swaying back and forth like that. Embarrassed, Junichi told her not to worry about it. Yu assumed he must be waiting for someone. When Junichi said he was waiting for Yukana, Yu guessed they were going on a date, but Junichi clarified that they were just going to hang out with a group at Yukana's house. Yu stayed quiet for a moment, and Junichi asked why she hadn't gone home yet. Yu said she had some free time, but Junichi didn't respond. She moved a little closer and repeated that she had time. Junichi didn't really understand what she was trying to say. Eventually, just making small talk, he asked if she wanted to come along too. Naturally, Yu didn't turn down the offer. She said she would go home first and asked him to send her the location by phone. After exchanging contacts, she left. Junichi couldn't figure out why Yu was acting that way. Not long after, Yukana showed up. Junichi asked if it was okay that he had invited Yui to join them. Yukana replied a bit sharply that it was fine, if he wanted to have more people there to make things more exciting. Right then, Junichi got a message from Shinpei. Shinpei reassured him that everything would work out in the end and that they would handle the rest. That made Junichi a bit anxious, wondering if he had just invited some potentially chaotic people to the hangout. When they arrived at Yukana's house, Junichi started to worry that maybe Yukana didn't even see him as a guy. Before they went in, Yukana asked him to wait in front of her room while she changed clothes. She even teased him by saying it was okay if he wanted to peek, but Junichi, clearly flustered, said he wasn't going to do that. Yukana smiled because she knew Junichi would never actually go through with it. Junichi was waiting for Yukana, but curiosity started to get the better of him. Just as he was about to peek through the door, Yukana suddenly appeared, startling him. She invited him into her room. As soon as he stepped in, Junichi was stunned by how different Yukana's room was from a typical guy's room. Everything sparkled and felt warm. Yukana looked a bit shy as she noticed how intently Junichi was looking around. He couldn't help but be amazed. She was dressed casually, and her outfit had a certain boldness to it. Her braided hair gave her a completely different look, and Junichi found himself captivated. Her outfit also revealed part of her chest, which made Junichi even more nervous. Yukana asked him not to stare so much. Embarrassed, Junichi quickly apologized. She then asked if he really liked her chest that much, which only made him more flustered. To change the subject, he nervously asked where her parents were. Yukana casually said they weren't home. That's when Junichi realized she had been upset earlier because he had invited others to come over too. He started to think maybe she had wanted to spend time alone with him, and he regretted not being braver. If only he had picked up on the moment, maybe the two of them could have had the whole evening together. As Yukana got closer, Junichi reached out, unsure of what he was doing, only to be interrupted when Renko, Nene, and Yui suddenly showed up, completely ruining the moment. Junichi was mortified. Yukana asked how Renko had even gotten into the house since she had locked everything. It turned out Renko had used the spare key Yukana usually kept in the same place. Renko asked what Yukana had been planning to do with Junichi, and Yukana admitted she had just been teasing him. Besides, she knew Junichi would never have the guts to try anything inappropriate. Out of nowhere, Nane wrapped her arms around Junichi and jokingly said he could touch her chest whenever he wanted. Junichi quickly asked her to let go. Then, without warning, Yui kicked Junichi, causing him to fall over. Smiling, she apologized and claimed it was an accident. Renko seemed confused about why Yui had joined in all of this, but Yui just asked if visiting a classmate was really that strange. Junichi couldn't believe how what started as a simple visit was now turning into pure chaos. Just then, the doorbell rang. Junichi's 3 closest friends had arrived. He was shocked by how they looked. Shinpei admitted he had dressed up to make an impression on the girls. Keigo had shown up looking like a rebellious character straight out of a manga, and Minoru's outfit was loud and over the top. He even brought 2 recorders with him as some kind of weird introduction. Junichi couldn't understand why the 3 of them would show up dressed like that. Yukana, meanwhile, couldn't stop laughing at the sight. Junichi introduced his friends to everyone. As soon as they saw Renko, they were visibly impressed. Renko then asked what they were planning to do now that everyone was here. Shinpei suggested playing a fun party game, King's Game. Junichi had a feeling he had just let his friends steer the whole direction of the evening. To his surprise, Yukana actually seemed interested in playing. Yu quickly said she hoped no one would make her do anything inappropriate. Keigo and Shinpei were startled and immediately said they weren't that kind of guys. Shinpei added that nothing inappropriate would happen during the game. Nene was eager to start. For her, it was the perfect excuse to get closer to Junichi without anyone stopping her. Renko was also interested. She figured she could use any dares in the game to get closer to Yukana. The first round of the game began. Shinpei asked who the king was. It turned out to be Keigo. He and Shinpei exchanged looks which made Junichi suspicious. They were definitely planning something. He braced himself for an embarrassing or risky dare. But Keigo simply told player number 2 to slap player number 5. Junichi was relieved it was just a harmless punishment. Then Renko, who had drawn number 2, walked right over and slapped him hard. So hard, in fact, that Junichi fell to the floor. Yukana asked if he was okay. Junichi managed to reply that he was fine. Yukana reminded Renko that she shouldn't have slapped Junichi so hard. Renko just laughed it off and apologized to Junichi, who felt relieved since it was just a playful punishment. Shinpei mentioned that everything has its stages and told Junichi to just sit back and observe for now. That made Junichi even more curious about what Shinpei was really planning. The second round of the game started, and this time Yukana was the king. She asked player number 1 to introduce themselves using baby talk. Once they realized Yui was number 1, Renko teased her by saying this would be a good warm-up for her next gal-style livestream. Yui stood up confidently and began introducing herself with a cutesy voice. Renko burst out laughing, and Yukana commented that Yui sounded really sweet when she spoke like a baby. Yui got even more pumped and asked for the next round to start right away. In the next round, Yui became the king. She gave a new order. Player number 6 had to pose like a graver model. It turned out Nane had drawn number 6. Without hesitation, Nane unbuttoned one button on her shirt and leaned forward, striking a pose in front of the guys. She then asked how her pose looked. Junichi was stunned, completely caught off guard by what was right in front of him. Yu quickly pulled Nane back and said no one told her to unbutton anything like that. After that, the game continued with more rounds and lighthearted punishments. Renko and Yukana had to share a Pocky stick. Yukana danced with Junichi, Shinpei, Keigo, and Minoru sang a song together, and Yui even drank an entire bottle of soda in one go. As they kept playing, everyone became a lot closer. Junichi asked Shinpei what he had planned next. Shinpei explained that in the upcoming round, Junichi would get to kiss Yukana, and the rest of the guys would get their moment too. Junichi wondered how that would work. Shinpei revealed that he had secretly modified the chopsticks they used in the game so that one was longer and easier to identify. That way, he could rig the game to become king and control the outcome. He also knew which player got which number. He asked Junichi to hold the sticks so it wouldn't look suspicious if Shinpei won again. Junichi started to question everything. Even if it was part of the game, was it really okay to kiss Yukana just because of a setup like this? As a guy, he felt responsible for dragging the girls into Shinpei's scheme. The next round began and the girls took turns grabbing a chopstick each. Once they all had one, Shinpei shouted that he was the king, assuming everything had gone according to plan. He then gave a new order. Player number 1 had to kiss the king, and player number 3 had to share a deep kiss with player number 2. That instantly caused a stir. Yui objected, and Nene said she only wanted to kiss Junichi and no one else, and both Renko and Yukana refused to follow through. But Shinpei insisted, saying the king's orders were absolute. He then asked who had numbers 1, 2, and 3. To his shock, Junichi had number 1, Keigo had number 2, and Minoru had number 3. Keigo froze, horrified by the thought of having to kiss Minoru. Shinpei accused Junichi of betraying them, but it turned out Junichi had switched things on purpose. He didn't want the girls to be involved in something uncomfortable just for the sake of a joke, even if that meant putting himself in an awkward spot. The girls, catching on to what Junichi had done, encouraged the guys to go through with it. Renko and Yukana reminded them that the king's command couldn't be denied. Yui urged Junichi to act like a man and even pushed him forward towards Shinpei. In the end, they went through with it. Renko had a blast watching it all unfold. She hadn't expected playing with everyone like this would be so fun. Yui couldn't believe she had just witnessed something so unexpected. Junichi had done it all to protect the girls, but he definitely paid the price. Out of nowhere, Yukana leaned in and whispered a quiet thank you to Junichi for what he did. Junichi felt happy knowing that she understood his intentions. Yukana then said it would be fun if they all took a trip together during summer break. Junichi was surprised that Yukana meant everyone. Renko suggested they go to the beach. Yui was in, and Nana got super excited, already thinking about shopping for a new swimsuit. Shinpei and Minoru agreed it really did sound like the perfect summer plan. Dei wanted to join too, but he had already spent his allowance trying to reinvent himself. Junichi admitted he was also low on cash. Yukana suggested they all find part-time jobs together. They still had time to save up before the trip. Nani said it would be so much fun if they could go on a vacation using money they earned themselves. Everyone got pumped up and agreed to work hard so they could enjoy summer break together. That day was 41 days before their planned group beach vacation. During lunch break, Junichi and his 3 close friends were drinking soda and toasting together. Shinpei didn't expect they would actually go to the beach with the sweet gal girls. According to Keigo, the beach was the perfect place to get closer to them. Junichi was confident they would make some great memories. Shinpei suggested they should plan the vacation carefully. Meanwhile, Minoru was wondering if the grade school girls would be going to the beach too. He couldn't wait to see their swimsuits. Before the trip, they needed to save money by working part-time jobs. Keigo asked if there was a place where they could earn more money quickly. Minoru kept thinking about the vacation, convinced that the parents of those grade school girls would come along, making it harder for him to approach them. Shinpei said he knew suitable jobs for each of them. He suggested Keigo work part-time at an anime shop, confident Keigo could handle it since he had recently become an otaku. Keigo was excited and sure he could do it. For Minoru, Shinpei recommended a part-time job at a daycare for grade school kids. Then Shinpei showed a cosplay-made picture for Junichi's job. Junichi thought Shinpei wanted him to cosplay as a maid, but actually Shinpei assigned him to work in the kitchen staff. The enthusiastic Minoru asked if it would be okay legally if the grade school kids he was taking care of liked him. After dividing the jobs, Shinpei encouraged everyone to save money so they could enjoy the beach trip and have fun there. At that moment, Minoru asked if it was possible that those grade school kids had little sisters who were still in kindergarten. 31 days before their group trip to the beach, Shinpei and Keigo were working part-time at Tora no Uena. Seeing the intimidating shop owner, Keigo whispered to Shinpei if the place was always that scary. Shinpei was sure that Tora no Uena was actually a friendlier place. They were assigned to move a large amount of stock onto shelves. After work, Shinpei and Keigo walked home together, feeling exhausted. They didn't expect working at Tora no Uena to be so tough. Suddenly, they saw Minoru talking to a little girl, telling her that showing certain feelings could be considered a crime. Shinpei jokingly hoped that Minoru would get caught by the police soon. 29 days before the beach vacation was Junichi's first day working at the cosplay cafe. When he opened the cafe door, the cosplay waitress girls warmly greeted him. It turned out that Yukana, Yui, Nene, and Renko were working part-time there as cosplay waitresses. Junichi was surprised to learn about their part-time jobs. Nene approached Junichi and asked if he had purposely come to see her. Yui was also surprised by Junichi's arrival. Renko guessed that Yui must be happy that Junichi came, but Yui denied it. Yukana told Junichi that the cafe wasn't open yet. Junichi said he was going to work there. They assumed Junichi would be cosplaying, so Yui asked why he chose to work at a cosplay cafe. Junichi explained that Shinpei had recommended it and that he would be working as kitchen staff. Soon after, the cafe manager arrived. He looked over the cosplay girls one by one. His gaze made them uncomfortable. The manager complimented their outfits for the day and asked them to serve the customers properly. He also greeted Junichi, who had just started working. Shortly after, the cosplay cafe opened and customers began to arrive. At that time, Yukana brought an order to a customer. The customer asked her to perform a little magic to make the food taste better. Yukana happily did it, and the customer was very pleased with her service. Meanwhile, Nana entertained customers with her cute gestures while serving food. At one point, Yu went to approach a customer who wanted to order food, but she accidentally tripped, causing her skirt to flip up. The customer smiled and called Yui clumsy. Yui felt really embarrassed. Then Ranko noticed a customer accidentally spill a drink on the table. She kindly approached and wiped the table. She took a cloth from her chest pocket, which made the customer even more nervous, especially since Ranko's chest was very close to his face. The customer asked Ranko to wipe his wet clothes. When she noticed that his pants were wet around the private area, Ranko said she couldn't help with something like that. She immediately drew her sword, which scared the customer a lot. 25 days before their group vacation, Shinpei and Keigo were working at the Torino comic shop. They were busy stocking comics on the shelves. Keigo noticed that Shinpei seemed unusually enthusiastic that day. Shinpei finished all his tasks well, arranging the light novels by placing the highly recommended ones on the main table, organizing the newest releases by contacting the supplier about missing items, and setting up merchandise with high sales potential as instructed by their boss. Keigo wondered what had gotten into Shinpei to make him so energetic. 3 days before the vacation, Junichi had just arrived at the cafe when he accidentally saw Yu changing her clothes. They locked eyes and Yui immediately slapped Junichi. The slap was quite painful for him. Yukana then asked if Junichi had intentionally peeked at Yui. Junichi explained that he did not mean to peek. It just happened when he opened the door and Yui was changing at that moment. Yui wasn't convinced that it was a coincidence. She was really annoyed, especially because the uniform they were wearing that day was embarrassing. She was also puzzled by the strange behavior of the cafe manager. 20 days before the vacation, Yukana felt very hot while working since the cafe's air conditioner was broken and was scheduled to be fixed the next day. Feeling overheated, Yukana fanned herself around her chest. Seeing a bottle of drink nearby, she immediately took a sip. Junichi told her not to drink from the same bottle because he had just drunk from it, but Yukana kept drinking to quench her thirst. Afterwards, she put the bottle back and thanked Junichi. Junichi's heart raced, and he wondered if an indirect kiss counted as a real kiss. He quickly took a sip from the bottle to get an indirect kiss from Yukana, but Ranko's sudden arrival startled him, causing him to spill the drink. Ranko apologized, and Junichi was quite frustrated that his indirect kiss had been ruined. 18 days before the vacation, the owner of the Torino shop announced that he would temporarily hand over management to Shinpei. Shinpei said he aimed to double or triple the store's sales and asked the other employees to cooperate in achieving that goal. Keigo was certain that Shinpei had some plan in mind. Days went by and Junichi and his friends worked hard to earn a lot of money. They performed their jobs well. Unfortunately, Minoru still teased grade school girls and the teachers had started noticing. Yukana was friendly and attentive to cafe visitors, while Shinpei kept diligently organizing the store's merchandise. 6 days before the vacation with his friends, Junichi felt extremely tired. Tomorrow would be their last day working part-time at the cosplay cafe, and there was also an event planned for that day. The cosplay cafe manager was looking forward to the event and had prepared many light novels for it. The next day, Yukana told Junichi that the event was called Literature Girls Day. It involved cosplay girls wearing uniforms and reading novels aloud to customers. Yukana asked Junichi for his opinion on which novel she should read. Soon after, Ranko, Nene, and Yui arrived. Nene asked Junichi to pick a novel for her, while Ranko complained that the event was troublesome but agreed to participate because the pay was decent. Yui picked a novel and began reading. The novel described a girl who changed her behavior in a negative way, and it also included a scene with a romantic kiss and another scene implying an intimate moment. They all were shocked by the content of the novel Yui was reading. Yui's face turned red and she didn't understand why they had to read that kind of novel aloud. She also wondered what was actually going through the manager's mind. Feeling like she couldn't take it anymore, Yui excused herself and left for a moment. Yukana didn't understand what was going on with Yui, while Ranko guessed that Yui must have been planning something. Nene then opened a few of the novel covers. The novels were titled, among others, Shinmai Kamasama no Dependence, Nosu Junior High School XD, and Musu Geiken Hybrid X Heart. Nene said those novels were just like the ones Junichi owned. Junichi admitted that the content was really concerning. Nene started reading out loud, mentioning a part where Sylvia's chest hadn't been touched yet and Kizuna's hands were the first to touch it. On purpose, Nene read some suggestive dialogue between Sylvia and Kizuna, even describing how Sylvia's sighs sounded. Junichi quickly asked Nene to stop. Ranko grabbed the novel away but then wanted to join in reading it after seeing Junichi's funny reaction. Ranko really got into reading the novel, which made Yukana's cheeks flush with embarrassment. Junichi asked Ranko to stop because she was overdoing it with her acting, but Ranko didn't care and kept reading the explicit parts, laughing as she saw Junichi's face turn red. Junichi felt extremely embarrassed. Suddenly, Yukana joined in reading as well, nervously reading the novel while blushing. At that moment, Junichi asked Yukana to stop, saying it had gone too far. Then the manager came over and asked what all the noise was about. He also asked if they had chosen which book to read later, confident that they would like those books. Junichi thought it was too much and wondered why the manager would want high school students to read light novels with inappropriate content. The manager said it was actually a good thing and questioned the point of reading ordinary books anyway. According to him, a girl blushing and feeling shy while reading light novels would make customers happy. Junichi asked the manager to consider their feelings too because it wasn't possible for them to read embarrassing lines like that in front of people. The manager got annoyed because Junichi was just a part-time worker, yet he dared to oppose an event the manager had planned. Suddenly, Yui informed the manager that the cafe owner was calling him. The owner reprimanded the manager about the event. After that, the manager canceled the event for the day and told them to work as usual. Yui asked if they would still get paid as promised, and the manager agreed. After the manager left, the friends thanked Yui, knowing she must have reported the situation to the cafe owner. After work, Yukana and Junichi walked home together. Yukana was grateful the event had been canceled because she definitely couldn't read something like that in front of people. Junichi wondered why Yukana kept looking at him. Yukana said that Junichi had been really cool that day, but she didn't say why. Junichi admitted that part-time work was fun even though a lot of problems came up. He asked what kind of job Yukana wanted to try next. Yukana said she wanted to work at a karaoke place or family restaurant. Junichi agreed that Yukana seemed to enjoy those kinds of jobs and thought they suited her well. Yukana then said that when the time came, she wanted Junichi to come with her. But it wasn't just about work. She also wanted to do other things with him, like going out eating together and going home together. Junichi smiled and said, wasn't that something they were already doing? Yukana said she wanted to spend Christmas and birthdays with Junichi, and then buy matching items like phone charms or keychains. Then, blushing shyly, she said she wanted to take a photo with Junichi. Junichi was surprised, but Yukana quickly said it was nothing special. Junichi said that if they went to the beach later, it would definitely be a lot of fun, and since there would be many friends, it wouldn't be boring. Suddenly, Yukana said she understood they would go to the beach with others, but next time she wanted to go somewhere just the two of them. Junichi was shocked by that request. Yukana repeated that she wanted to go just the two of them, and Junichi nodded, feeling really happy and looking forward to it. The summer vacation day had finally arrived, and Junichi, along with his friends, went to the beach. Junichi did not expect that they could all go together. Keiko still could not believe that he was able to come to a place where popular people usually gathered. He even shouted, wondering if it was a dream. Watching little kids playing with the sand, Minoru felt like the place was a paradise for him. Not long after, Ranko showed up in her swimsuit. They all approached Ranko and complimented her appearance. Soon after, Yui and Nene also arrived. Shinpei praised Yui, saying that the swimsuit suited her very well. Keigo was excited to see Nene, who had a youthful appearance but was wearing a swimsuit that caught attention. Nene immediately came over to Junichi and asked for his opinion about her look, wondering if her swimsuit made him happy. She deliberately got close to him, which made Junichi feel a little uncomfortable. Before long, Yukana arrived, walking confidently in her stylish swimsuit. Seeing her, Junichi was mesmerized and his cheeks turned red as he looked at her. He admitted that Yukana was truly the best for him. Yukana then invited everyone to have fun together. Before swimming, Nene warmed up by moving her body, while Keigo and Shinpei were watching her from behind. Junichi prepared a chair for Yu to lie down. Yu felt thirsty and wanted Junichi to get her a drink, but suddenly Nene called out to Junichi, waving her hand. Yu felt a little jealous because of Nana's striking appearance. Yukana called Junichi to join her in the water. Junichi apologized to Yui because he had to go play with Yukana. Nene also followed along to join in. Yui felt a bit upset that Junichi chose to spend time with Yukana. When Junichi approached Yukana, she suddenly splashed water on his face. Junichi was surprised, which made Yukana laugh. Junichi splashed back at her. Ranko also joined in, splashing water toward Yukana. At that moment, Nene bumped into Junichi, upset because he had not been paying attention to her. The close contact made Junichi feel an intense sensation on his back. He then asked Nene to step away. Suddenly, Yui shot water at both Nene and Junichi with her water pistol, wanting to join in the fun. Meanwhile, Shinpei, Keigo, and Minoru were left out by the girls. Keigo commented that the beach event was a little different from what he expected. Shinpei noticed this too, but said it was not a bad thing since they could watch the girls in their bikinis. Shinpei started recording the girls playing happily, surprised that he still had an appreciation for natural beauty. Minoru was also very happy because he got to watch the young girls having fun on the beach. At that time, Junichi, Yui, Nene, Ranko, and Yukana were playing volleyball together. Ranko served the ball very hard toward Junichi, causing him to fall. Yukana asked if Junichi was okay. Ranko laughed and apologized, saying she had been carried away by her instincts. Junichi guessed that it was probably her hunting instinct. Ranko invited Yukana to go to a nearby store. They also planned to look for a place to have dinner since their lodging did not provide dinner. After Yukana and Ranko left, Yu wanted to relax, but Nane invited Junichi to play with the sand. Yu was surprised because they were not children anymore, yet Junichi agreed to play with Nane. Nane was so happy that she even jumped up and down, which annoyed Yui a little. At that moment, Nane, Junichi, and Yui managed to build a sandcastle. The sandcastle looked very nice. According to Yui, if they paid attention to the details, the result would be great. Nene encouraged Junichi to build an even better one. Yui asked Junichi to write their names on the sandcastle walls to make it look like a secret club. When Junichi saw Yukana talking to another guy, he decided to approach her. Although he wasn't quite sure why he suddenly felt the urge to do so, he reminded himself that he didn't have the right to stop Yukana from talking to other guys. Seeing Junichi standing in front of her, Yukana immediately came closer, feeling happy that he showed up just in time. She grabbed Junichi's hand, which made him feel a bit nervous because her chest gently touched his arm. Not only that, Ranko also took hold of Junichi's hand. Ranko explained that the guys they were talking to earlier had been a bit too forward and were bothering them, so she was glad Junichi arrived right when they needed him. She thanked him sincerely. After that, Ranko expressed her gratitude to Shinpei and Keigo for watching over their belongings. From a short distance, Shinpei and Keigo were excited to see Ranko and Yukana, and Ranko invited them to go have fun. Shinpei and Keigo looked surprised at the invitation. Yukana realized that they must have been bored sitting around for so long, so she offered to take over their place and encourage them to enjoy themselves. Shinpei and Keigo looked a bit downhearted but decided to leave, taking Minoru with them. Then Yukana asked Junichi to help apply sunscreen on her body. Junichi was happy because he was about to experience a close moment. He was excited since he had never seen something like this happen in real life before. Not wanting to be outdone by Ranko, Yukana took off her outer shirt and lay down. Both Ranko and Yukana asked Junichi to start applying the sunscreen right away. At that moment, Junichi didn't know what to do. He hadn't expected such an intimate moment to happen to him, and his feelings started to rise. He quickly started applying sunscreen on Ranko and Yukana's backs, making sure to give gentle massages that made both of them feel comfortable. Ranko was surprised by how skillful Junichi was. Yukana jokingly said that Junichi's way of applying sunscreen was quite suggestive. Ranko let out a loud sigh and asked Junichi to apply more firmly. Junichi was puzzled why Ranko was intentionally making such sounds. Meanwhile, Shinpei and Keigo were still walking, dragging Minoru along. They wondered what their friends were up to since they were all supposed to be at the beach. Shinpei mentioned that their efforts were far from over because it was still daytime and the real fun would start when they stayed overnight. To make that happen, they had to persuade everyone. That evening, they ate at a small eatery near the beach. Yukana prepared the food for Junichi. Not long after, Shinpei and Keigo called Junichi over. They had a request for him and explained their plan. Later that night, the girls gathered in one of their rooms, feeling satisfied after the barbecue they had. They were preparing to take a bath together at the hot springs. Meanwhile, Shinpei and Keigo were eavesdropping from the next room. After the girls left to bathe, Shinpei and the others started putting their plan into action. They quickly put on costumes and equipment they had prepared. Their plan was to sneak a peek at the girls while they were bathing. Junichi tried to stop them, saying that peeping was a serious violation and that they needed to respect the girls' feelings. Shinpei argued that Junichi didn't understand women at all. According to him, if Junichi wasn't interested in peeping, the girls would think they weren't attractive, and that not peeking was like an insult. Keigo called Junichi cruel and said he couldn't believe Junichi was that kind of person. Junichi was confused as to why they were blaming him. Shinpei then asked Junichi to put on a costume and join in, saying that if he didn't, he couldn't be called a real man and would be disrespecting the girls. Keigo asked if Junichi didn't want to see Yukana. Hearing that, Junichi admitted he wanted to see Yukana more than they expected, but precisely because of that, he refused to participate. According to Shinpei, Junichi's intentions were contradictory. Junichi wasn't really concerned about whether they wanted to watch or not. Shinpei had told him not to interfere with their fight, but Junichi decided to join anyway. Meanwhile, Minoru chose to go to the mixed-gender bath and planned to look for a grade school kid there. At that time, Yukana, Nene, Yui, and Ranko were enjoying the warm, hot spring. Ranko stood at the edge of the bath admiring the sky view. Yu reminded Ranko not to stand there to avoid being seen by others. Nene was surprised to hear about possible peeping. Ranko reassured them all, saying that the inn was well known for having very high security in the women's bath, and the security guards had said it would be impossible for anyone to peek in. After hearing that, they all gathered next to Ranko to enjoy the beautiful view. Meanwhile, Minoru was soaking in the bath and felt happy because there was a child around as well. At the same time, Ranko was playfully teasing Yukana. Yukana felt embarrassed and asked Ranko to tease Nene instead because Nene had the biggest chest among them. Nana got nervous when Ranko approached her, but Ranko was genuinely amazed by Nana's figure. Yukana also became interested and joined in. Yui could only watch quietly, but suddenly Yukana stood behind her and playfully teased her too, saying Yui's figure was nice as well. Yui screamed out of embarrassment and Yukana laughed, saying she was happy that Yui was joining in. Yui then teased Yukana back. Meanwhile, Shinpei, Keigo, and Junichi were walking toward a certain location. As they were about to move forward, Shinpei warned them about a trap ahead. Shinpei and Keigo carefully stepped over a sensor device, but Junichi intentionally triggered it to sabotage their plan. When the sensor went off, Junichi urged them to retreat quickly. However, it turned out the trap was actually set by Shinpei himself. Shinpei quickly deactivated the sensor, revealing it was a fake trap. Shinpei asked whether it was likely that the inn's guards would set a trap deep in the forest just to prevent peeping into the women's bath. That's when Shinpei and Keigo realized that Junichi had betrayed them, so they decided to test him. To judge Junichi, Shinpei called for a vote on how to punish him. Junichi lost the vote and was supposed to receive a mock attack from Shinpei and Keigo. Junichi tried to escape their chase and attempted to get out of the forest, but unfortunately, he fell into a ravine. Keigo and Shinpei saw him fall, but Shinpei wasn't convinced that Junichi would die that easily. Shinpei and Keigo quickly headed toward the women's bath. They were excited to rush there, hoping to see the girls without any clothes. Unfortunately, Keigo fell into a pit trap and Shinpei helped pull him out. Keigo was surprised because Shinpei had said there were no traps in that area. Shinpei was also confused. Suddenly, Shinpei accidentally triggered a rope and an arrow shot toward him, narrowly missing his body. Seeing this, Keigo suggested they retreat, but Shinpei refused because he didn't want to waste their efforts. Shinpei explained that even if they knew the outcome would be bad, they had to complete the routes that could lead to him being disliked by the heroines. There were still unfinished routes, and if they failed to complete them, they couldn't finish the story. Keigo regained his enthusiasm, thinking about completing his life album. They kept running while shooting their weapons, dodging attacks and traps along the way. Unfortunately, Shinpei was hit by an arrow in the chest. He collapsed and became helpless. Shinpei asked Keigo to fulfill their shared dream. Keigo replied, wondering what the point was if only his own album was complete. Shinpei kept urging Keigo to go. Then Keigo started crying and ran away, but accidentally stepped on something that caused fireworks to light up. At that moment, the girls were enjoying the fireworks. Yukana looked at Yui and mentioned how beautiful the view was. Yui smiled back at her. That night, the girls were planning to play with fireworks when Junichi woke up from fainting. He was surprised to see Yukana standing right in front of him. Yukana explained that she and the others had come to play with fireworks and found Junichi asleep on the beach. Junichi then remembered that he had fallen off a cliff earlier. He asked about Shinpei and Keigo's condition. Yukana didn't know the details but said they were found lying down on the mountain behind the inn. Minoru was found unconscious in the hot spring and had already been taken to his room. Yukana mentioned that Junichi and his friends were quite a handful. Junichi apologized and Yukana gently tapped his forehead, smiling at him. She told him he should really thank the inn's staff. Yukana said that the trip together was fun, although it turned out a little different than she had imagined, but still good. Junichi apologized again and then invited Yukana to go out, just the two of them next time. Yukana was surprised by the invitation and asked where his ideal date spot was. Junichi said that as long as he could make Yukana happy, that would already be his dream. He also mentioned wanting to go on a nighttime date at an amusement park. Yukana said that sounded very romantic and then leaned closer to Junichi. At that moment, Ranko was watching them and Nane and Yui also noticed the closeness between Yukana and Junichi. Yukana invited Junichi to have their date at the amusement park. That day, Yukana and Junichi had just returned from their vacation. On their way back, they ran into Dai, one of Yukana's friends. Dai greeted Yukana since they hadn't seen each other in a long time. Yukana asked how Dai had been, and Dai replied that he was doing well. He also mentioned that Yukana had become even more attractive since the last time he saw her. Yukana smiled and admitted she was surprised by how much Dai had changed, especially his hair color. Day smiled back and said he used to be really nerdy back in middle school, but now he felt cool enough to hang out with Yukana. Yukana laughed because she thought that didn't really suit him. Day mentioned that he had a get-together planned the next day with some other middle school friends and invited Yukana to join. Yukana was interested and looking forward to it, as she also missed her middle school friends. Watching their friendly interaction, Junichi felt a bit annoyed. He was curious about who this handsome guy really was. He admitted that Day gave off a cool vibe. Seeing how close Day and Yukana looked made Junichi feel like he wasn't needed anymore. He felt like a useless rock on the ground, fading into the background. Junichi just stayed quiet while they talked until Day asked Yukana who the guy waiting with her was. Yukana then took Junichi's arm and introduced him as her boyfriend. She told Junichi that Day was her old middle school classmate. Yukana held Junichi's arm tightly, which made Junichi nervous and caused Day to give him a sharp look. Junichi greeted Dai, surprised to learn Yukana already had a boyfriend. Dai was about to say something about Yukana in middle school, but Yukana stopped him. Then Yukana and Junichi continued on their way. After they left, Dai looked at Yukana with a grin. Yukana felt that their recent vacation had been really enjoyable, and she hoped to have another one next year. Junichi wondered what kind of relationship Dai and Yukana really had since they seemed so close earlier. He guessed that maybe their relationship had been romantic in middle school, and maybe they even shared a kiss. Thinking about that made Junichi hit his head against a pole. Yukana was startled and asked what happened to him. Junichi said he was fine, explaining that sometimes he hurt himself a little. Yukana was puzzled why Junichi did that since she didn't understand it. She grabbed his hand firmly and smiled at him. Junichi, however, thought her innocent smile was a sign that there was definitely something going on between Yukana and Dai. He believed Yukana introduced Dai to him just to make him let his guard down. Yukana asked why Junichi looked so down. Junichi suddenly said that Dai was cool, more fashionable than him, taller and better looking. He even said Dai seemed like a handsome guy straight out of a shoujo manga. Yukana guessed that maybe Junichi was jealous. Junichi realized he didn't compare well to Dai, and he felt like Yukana and Dai made a good match. Yukana said she didn't understand what Junichi was talking about and even thought that maybe Yukana looked embarrassed introducing Junichi to Dai. Then Yukana let go of his hand and asked if Junichi really thought that way. She looked annoyed and decided to head home right away. That night, Junichi watched a streaming broadcast by Bo. Bo told her viewers how happy she felt after coming back from vacation with her friends. She also talked about soaking in the hot spring and seeing that some of her friends had big chests, which made her a bit envious. The next day at school, Shinpei, Keigo, and Minoru were chatting excitedly about the vacation. They felt satisfied because they got to see many attractive girls at the beach. Minoru was happy too since there were many kids around, which made him not want to leave the hot spring. Shinpei didn't expect they could hang out with such sweet girls, and he credited Junichi for making it happen. Shinpei then approached Junichi and noticed that Junichi looked pretty unenthusiastic. Junichi's voice sounded like he wasn't really happy about the vacation. Junichi admitted that he felt happy during his vacation, but Shinpei seemed to notice what Junichi was really feeling. He asked Junichi to open up so he could give him some advice. Junichi appreciated the concern from his three close friends and decided to share his feelings with them. They all agreed that the situation was pretty serious. Keigo suggested that Junichi should break up with Yukana and just stay as an observer like them. Shinpei explained a concept called netarere or entitar, which is when a boyfriend or husband is taken away by another man, often in a romantic or relationship sense. He mentioned that this theme appears a lot in older TV dramas, and since it has been around for so long, it means many people find it interesting. Junichi was confused about why anyone could enjoy being taken away, since logically it should be upsetting. Shinpei argued that indirectly, Junichi was admitting he actually enjoyed being taken away because when Junichi said it was sad, that sadness is what makes the whole NTR thing more appealing. Junichi didn't understand what Shinpei meant, and Shinpei was surprised at how clueless Junichi was. Shinpei said that when a girl says no, she actually means yes, and when she says I don't want to, it actually means she does. Shinpei was convinced that Dei must have some kind of magical charm. Hearing this, Junichi was even more confused, not knowing what this magical charm was. Shinpei explained that it's something that makes girls go crazy during intimate moments. Junichi finally understood and thought to himself that he probably shouldn't have asked Shinpei for advice in the first place. Soon after, they entered their classroom. Junichi immediately looked at Yukana, but she acted indifferent toward him. Junichi was even more confused about what he should do. During the break, he tried to talk to Yukana, but she ignored him and walked away with her friends. Almost the entire day passed without Junichi being able to talk to Yukana. In class, he could only watch her quietly, hoping he might get a chance to speak with her after school. When the bell rang, Junichi tried to say something to her, but Yukana didn't seem to hear him. He chased after her to the shoe locker and called out to her, asking if she could go home together, but she declined, saying she was going out with her middle school friends. Junichi wanted to talk about what happened yesterday, but Yukana refused, saying she was in a hurry. This left Junichi feeling very sad. Junichi's friends suggested going to karaoke to cheer him up. Shinpei advised Junichi to forget about his problems. At one point, Junichi mistook the girl on the monitor for Yukana, but Shinpei snapped him back to reality with a light slap. Once Junichi was fully aware, Shinpei encouraged him to stay strong because there was something important he had to do the next day. Junichi asked what he needed to do, and Shinpei told him that tomorrow he would have to swallow his pride and apologize sincerely to his girlfriend. Shinpei explained that even if Junichi knew he wasn't wrong, apologizing like a man would make everything work out. Junichi said he didn't understand why Yukana was so mad, so he thought maybe he didn't have to apologize. Shinpei insisted that Junichi should apologize anyway, believing that girls tend to soften up when guys show genuine remorse. Junichi realized that Yukana was indeed angry, and that you should apologize to her. After that, Shinpei invited Junichi to sing their favorite song together. After karaoke, they all felt happy to have spent time singing. Junichi thanked them because he felt much better. Shinpei said this would give Junichi the energy to make his apology to Yukana. Junichi promised to give his best when he talked to her tomorrow. Keigo was confident Junichi could handle it well. Unexpectedly, they saw Yukana at a cafe across the street with Dai. Yukana and Dai looked very close, almost affectionate. Keigo and Shinpei could hardly believe how friendly they were. Minoru commented that this was exactly why he disliked older girls. Shinpei was very worried about Junichi, and at that moment, Junichi's heart was shattered into pieces. The next day, while heading to school, Junichi realized that Yukana was just toying with him. He couldn't get the image of Yukana's closeness with Dai out of his mind. Junichi started to accept that this possibility was real and had already happened. He tried to convince himself that he needed to move on. Feeling sad, Junichi even cried because he finally understood that he truly liked Yukana. Suddenly, Yukana called him over and approached him. She asked why his face looked so down and wondered if he was already regretting what he had done before. Junichi was confused and questioned why Yukana had been angry at him earlier. He also thought about how Yukana had been seeing Dai behind his back. Junichi found it strange that Yukana seemed so enthusiastic despite all that. Yukana admitted that she had been cold toward him the day before and that Junichi regretting it actually meant her behavior had worked. Junichi asked what Yukana had been doing the previous day. She said she had already told him she went out to hang out with her middle school friends. Junichi replied that he had seen Yukana having fun talking with Dai at the cafe the day before and wondered why she was alone with him. It turned out that after the event, Dai had asked Yukana for help. Junichi was sure it was a lie and that the whole thing had been planned since Yukana answered so quickly. Junichi told her that she must have enjoyed it, and he was convinced that Yukana was just playing with him. He confessed that his heart was more broken than Yukana expected, which was why he wanted her to stop messing with him. It really hurt. Junichi even said that if he kept feeling this way because of her, it would be better if he stayed single his whole life. Then, Junichi quickly ran away, wondering why Yukana was staring at him like that. When he arrived at class, his friends noticed that something was off between Junichi and Yukana. After school, Yui invited Junichi to talk on the rooftop. She asked if something had happened with Yukana and even wanted to give him advice if he told her everything. Junichi admitted that he couldn't understand Yukana and didn't get why she wanted to date him. Yui understood that Junichi felt like Yukana didn't really like him at all. Junichi claimed Yukana was just playing with him. Otherwise, she wouldn't be dating him. Yui asked if Junichi was serious about thinking that way. Junichi said Yukana was mean because she pretended to like him just to hurt him. He saw it as a valuable lesson so he wouldn't be fooled when he got married someday. Yui said Junichi was being selfish and told him to think about Yukana's feelings too. She couldn't believe Junichi could be so self-centered. Yui even said that Junichi wasn't worthy of being her servant. Then she quickly left him behind. On his way home, Nane suddenly bumped into Junichi. She asked why he looked so sad. Junichi said he was okay, but Nane didn't believe him right away. He finally admitted that he couldn't hide it from her. Junichi then told Nene what had happened. Instead of giving advice, Nene told him not to keep feeling down or else he would have to marry her. Junichi was surprised and asked why he would have to marry Nene. She said it was because Junichi wasn't cool anymore. Then Nana walked away and Junichi suddenly remembered something he had said to her when they were kids. That night, Junichi realized that he was indeed selfish, just like Yui had said, and that he was no longer cool as Nane had pointed out. While watching Bo's livestream that evening, Junichi listened as Bo talked about being interested in someone. However, she felt upset and frustrated because of that person's behavior. Bo tried not to like him since he was the boyfriend of her close friend. She wanted to give him advice, but he only seemed to think about himself. Nane was annoyed with him, saying that he was careless, inexperienced, and not cool at all. But despite all that, he was very kind to Bo. And without realizing it, she started to feel drawn to him because of his kindness. Bo hoped that he would go back to how he was before and become a guy worthy of being her servant. Junichi sent a message to his friends saying that he wanted to talk with them after school the next day. At the same time, Yukana also messaged her friends asking to share some things after school. The next day at the cafe, Yukana was there with Renko, Nene, and Yui. Nene guessed that Yukana probably wanted to talk about Junichi. Before Yukana could even start sharing, she suddenly began to tear up, which shocked everyone. Renko couldn't just stay still. She immediately left, saying she had other matters to attend to. Renko was determined not to forgive Junichi if he made Yukana cry. Meanwhile, Junichi asked what his 3 friends thought about him. They all called him foolish, inappropriate, and inexperienced. Shinpei was surprised that Junichi was actually smiling while they were teasing him. Not long after, Renko returned and approached Junichi. She grabbed the collar of his shirt and told him that she would never forgive him if he caused Yukana to cry. Renko explained that Yukana cared a lot about Junichi. Even though her friends asked her out, she still chose Junichi, but he had been careless with her feelings. Junichi admitted that he was foolish, inappropriate, inexperienced, and selfish. Acknowledging his flaws, he said he would go see Yukana because he didn't want anyone else to have her. Renko then let go of Junichi, calling his attitude really brave. Because of that, she decided not to hit him. But that didn't mean she accepted their relationship. Soon after, Dai and his friends arrived at the cafe. They started talking about Yukana, calling her a sweet and attractive gal. Dai said that Yukana was easygoing because she was willing to walk with him just after he asked for her advice. He admitted that he was excited to take a girl who already had a boyfriend. Dai added that once he got bored, he would just pass her on to his friends, confident that Yukana would agree because she was an easygoing girl. Renko was annoyed by this, but Junichi stopped her from confronting Dai, saying that he would handle Dai himself. Junichi walked up to Dai after hearing him insult Yukana in front of his friends. The moment he saw Junichi, Dai mocked him by calling him Yukana's pathetic boyfriend. Junichi was clearly upset and demanded that Dai take back what he said because to him, Yukana was not the kind of girl Dai was making her out to be. Dai's friends looked ready to attack Junichi, but Dai held them back. He asked Junichi if Yukana's appearance did not already say enough about her. Junichi refused to accept that and told Dai that Yukana was nothing like what he was imagining. He said he would never let someone like Dai get close to her. Instead of backing off, Dai kept taunting Junichi, saying his attitude made it obvious that he was still inexperienced with girls, and that it was no surprise Yukana was just toying with him. That comment crossed the line. Junichi grabbed Dai by the collar and demanded that he take back his disrespectful words. Dai's friends tried to step in again, but Dai stopped them once more. Junichi stood his ground and said he would not allow anyone to talk badly about Yukana like that. Dai brushed Junichi's hand off and challenged him to take it outside if he really wanted to settle things. Surrounded by his crew, Dai asked Junichi how he was feeling now, but Junichi responded firmly, saying he would never forgive him. Dai laughed. Junichi took a swing at him, but the punch missed. Dai kept mocking him, saying he could not believe how weak Junichi's hit was. Without backing down, Junichi lunged forward and bit Dai on the leg. Dai cried out in pain, trying to shake him off, but Junichi held on tightly, saying he would not let go until Dai promised to stay away from Yukana. Dai called for his friends to attack Junichi. They started kicking him repeatedly, but Junichi refused to let go, still demanding that Dai make the promise. No matter how much they tried, Junichi kept biting down with everything he had. Finally, Dai pretended to give in and made the promise. As soon as Junichi let go, Dai kicked him hard, knocking him to the ground. Dai went on to make another cruel remark about Yukana and even claimed he would do whatever he wanted with her. Junichi tried to grab his leg again, but Dai quickly kicked him away. Junichi fell once more, but in his heart, he swore he would never let someone like Dai go near Yukana, no matter what happened to him. Just then, Renko appeared, stepping on one of Dai's friends as she walked up. She looked at Junichi and told him he was amazing. One by one, Renko started taking down Dai's crew. That was when Dai finally realized she was his upperclassman from middle school. Still, Dai shamelessly made an inappropriate comment about her and said he wanted to use her for his own pleasure. Renko shot back, calling him disgusting. Seeing that things were turning against them, Dai's friends tried to gang up on Renko, but Shinpei, Minoru, and Keigo showed up just in time and jumped in to help. Shinpei said he could not stand by while they tried to hurt a girl. Keigo was furious about what Dai did to Junichi and wanted to return the favor. Minoru added that he could not tolerate anyone who treated girls like that. Shinpei quickly checked on Junichi, asking if he was alright and reminded him that he needed to be somewhere. Keigo pointed out that Junichi had more important things to do than waste time with jerks like Dai. Minoru told him to hurry and go for Yukana's sake. Junichi felt incredibly thankful to have friends like them. Without wasting another second, he ran off. Dai tried to go after him, but Renko stepped in his way. Dai arrogantly claimed that Renko and the others had no chance of beating them with numbers on their side. He ordered his friends to attack again. At that moment, Junichi was running to meet Yukana. He tried calling her on his phone, but she didn't pick up right away. So Junichi sent her a message, asking to meet behind the school because there was something he wanted to talk about. At that time, Yukana was still with Nane and Yui. Nane commented that Junichi was pretty hopeless, and Yui added that he was selfish and unreliable. Yui advised Yukana not to spoil Junichi too much and to be more assertive in their relationship. Nane then teased Yui, saying it seemed like Yui knew a lot about Junichi. Yui quickly denied it, but Nane became suspicious and said that Yui clearly knew more than she was letting on. Yukana started to feel unsure. She admitted that maybe she didn't really understand Junichi and questioned whether he truly liked her. Nane tried to reassure her, saying that Junichi did like her. Yui then asked if Yukana had ever actually heard Junichi express his feelings directly and whether those feelings were sincere. Yukana hesitated and said she wasn't sure. Yui encouraged her to ask him again and get a clear answer so she wouldn't have to keep worrying. Yukana thanked Nane and Yui. She admitted that she still didn't feel completely okay, but she would try to find out the truth. After Yukana left, Yui asked Nane if it was really alright for them to help someone who's technically their rival. Nane felt the same way, and the two of them smiled together. Meanwhile, Ranko and her friends had managed to defeat Dai's group. Ranko teased Dai, asking if he was ready to give up. Dai was surprised by how strong Ranko and her crew were. He apologized and promised never to show his face around them again. But Ranko wasn't ready to forgive him that easily. Dai looked terrified as Ranko stepped closer. Suddenly, a little girl named Minami showed up and asked what Minoru and the others were doing. That was when Dai panicked and ran away, accidentally bumping into Minami and making her cry. Seeing this, Minoru quickly rushed to help her, and Minami's mother came by to thank him. Despite all that, Dai called everyone stupid and refused to apologize. Minami thanked Minoru before leaving, but after that, Minoru looked furious and ran off to chase Dai. Shinpei turned to Keigo and asked if they should stop him. Both of them then tried to calm Minoru down. Dai was absolutely terrified. Ranko cornered him and he begged her not to hurt him. Without hesitation, Ranko delivered a sharp kick to his sensitive area and stepped on his head. She said that someone who disrespected women and treated them like objects didn't deserve to have that part of his body. She told Shinpei and Keigo to let Minoru go. Although they were unsure, first she threatened to deal with them the same way if they disobeyed, so they let Minoru go. Dai was completely shaken. Ranko said people like Dai needed a serious wake-up call. Minoru didn't hold back, he lunged straight at Dai. Meanwhile, Yukana finally saw the message from Junichi.